South Africa sits on some of the wealthiest mineral reserves on the planet. For decades, massive open-pit operations and heavy-duty haul trucks like these have secured the country's position as a global raw material powerhouse. And all that raw material feeds directly into a highly developed industrial engine. Millions of square feet of manufacturing hubs refine, process, and prepare those resources for export. But right now, severe physical friction is slowing the supply chain to a crawl. The journey to the global market is choking on its path. The operators running these facilities are dealing with a compounding series of structural failures. They face rolling power blackouts, freight rail networks crippled by constant delays, and shipping ports too congested to clear cargo on time. You can have the most advanced production capacity in the world, but it is worthless if your physical infrastructure traps your goods before they ever reach a buyer. The South African government and the private sector know exactly where the supply chain is failing. Over the course of 2 prior collaborative phases, they have successfully mapped out every structural constraint in the system. But identifying a problem does not fix it. Markets and investors are experiencing intense planning fatigue. They are tired of reading blueprints, evaluating task forces, and listening to endless policy discussions. While the committees meet, there is a vacuum of actual physical progress on the ground. Industrial operators are losing time and money waiting for these plans to turn into poured concrete and repaired power lines. To keep its industrial sector alive, South Africa doesn't need to invent a new infrastructure policy. It has to close the execution gap between what politicians promise in boardrooms and what actually functions out in the real world. In August 2026, President Cyril Ramaphosa officially launched Phase 3 of the Government-Business Partnership. The stated mandate for this new phase is a hard pivot away from structural planning and directly into operational execution. Usually, political announcements of this size come with a ribbon cutting for a multi-billion-dollar mega-project. Phase 3 deliberately skips that. Instead, the entire initiative is focused on unclogging, repairing, and modernizing the networks that are already built. The objective is to get the current system working for the businesses trying to use it today. For a mature, industrialized economy, stripping the rust off existing supply chains offers a much higher and faster return on investment than attempting to build entirely new systems from scratch. To accomplish this, the partnership is targeting 3 operational arenas: electricity, rail freight, and port logistics. First is the power grid. Facilities like the Eskom Kusile power station are central to providing the reliable baseline electricity required to keep high-capacity manufacturing lines online without interruption. Next is the rail network. Heavy industries rely on Transnet freight lines to move millions of tons of bulk mining yields and manufactured goods across the country on strict schedules. Finally, port logistics. Once the goods make it to the coast, efficient ports act as the final necessary valve to push those exports out to international buyers. What makes Phase 3 unique is how the work gets done. Private business leaders and corporate operators are being physically embedded into government institutions to force these practical reforms through the bureaucracy. The state lacks the operational speed to clear these bottlenecks alone, and the private sector lacks the legal jurisdiction. Fixing the supply chain requires a strict merger of government authority and corporate efficiency. The success of this operational pivot extends well beyond local businesses. Foreign investors treat reliable energy and efficient logistics as absolute non-negotiable prerequisites before they will risk deploying their capital. Phase 3 serves as a calculated signal directed at those global markets. It demonstrates that the country is aggressively serious about protecting its industrial output. This chart shows how markets are using the initiative as a barometer of reform to measure institutional competence. While the line for policy promises stays flat and high, the operational execution metric is the data point analysts are actually tracking. And here is why that execution metric matters. The flow of foreign investment capital moves in near lockstep with actual operational delivery on the ground, not with future promises. If the execution falters here, the physical bottlenecks will permanently choke off production. South Africa's industrial capacity will stall, and that capital will simply flow to competing nations. Phase 3 strips away the abstract economic theory. It tests whether a nation can successfully transform bureaucratic ink on a page into a thriving, physical economic reality.